I'm back. Last time we had a look at the world of Riot's MMO, and we talked about how the overall world design has been done for a few years now. If you have no idea what League's universe is
This guy looks like the Counter-Strike player Simple. Has anyone ever made that comparison? Yeah. He looks a lot like Simple. Anyway.
about, I would recommend watching that one first. But now that we learned about the basics, we can dive
He is Czech, so it makes sense. Oh, that does make sense. And that literally does make sense.
the other big MMO topic. The playable races and classes.
Tell me about
When
it,
it comes
dude.
to the races, just like the world, they are pretty much done. Over the years, the lore fleshed out the races of Runeterra, and now they each have their own unique story. In fact, at this point, it
Their
feels
masks are
like we
fucking
know
sick.
Riot will not make up a brand new race. Of course, they could always theoretically do it, but I seriously doubt they would. Because that would be like forcing a new race into the world of Lord of the Rings. It would feel off among all the already established rules. I strongly doubt you wanna put a bunny person next to Aragorn. With that
I mean, I mean, I mean, but what if we did though? But what if we did though?
That said, don't worry, because the lore will allow Riot to make up new races and make them feel natural. I'll show you their clever system in just a moment. But for now, just know that yes, we already know the races of this world.
What are these little guys called again? They're called something. Fuck. I remember Yordles. I was gonna say Ordles. Yeah, Yordles, dude. The cinematic that I watched with them was cute as fuck, dude. Where she's like told to guard the rock, dude. And then she shows up. She's like, "This rock hasn't done anything." I like that one a lot. It was very cute.
So the question is not going to be what races Riot is going to make up. The question is going to be,
Whoa.
from the races that already exist, which ones will be playable?
Is that like a descendant of the big bear, dude? What's that guy called again? Isn't there like two big ass bear spirit god things? What are they called? What are those things called? Volibear. That's right. The big old boy. An Orn. Yeah.
Perhaps more importantly, how
Yeah,
will
from
they be
Freljord.
playable? You see, a few years back I released a similar video where we talked about the classes and the races together with TB Skyen. And today, I would not recommend you watch that video. Back then, I was still clinging onto the idea that faction-based MMOs were a good idea. It worked for WoW, and it worked for my guilty pleasure, Wildstar. Unfortunately, what I didn't know is that merely a year later, the idea of faction-based MMOs would crumble to dust.
Yeah.
That's because factions have a massive flaw. Besides the fact that PvP is almost guaranteed to be one-sided. I mean, who would want to play for the losing side? Especially if there is no compensation. Classic WoW is a perfect proof of that. Not to mention New World. But also, if you split everyone into two sides,
They literally can't play together anymore in the case of World of Warcraft for the last 20 years. Yeah, and the cross-faction stuff has been instrumental in bridging the divide in player base. It's been really important for the success of things like the War Within. Honestly, I'm really glad that they've been like overcoming those barriers, because I get the whole faction thing. That's cool, that's fun, the PvP aspect of it and all, but literally not being able to play with half of the other players is not good.
you are splitting up your player base. And that is almost never a good idea. You simply don't want to prevent people from playing together. The reason why in the past it worked for WoW is because Blizzard heavily played into the faction pride. People were proud to fight for the Horde or the Alliance. But even back then, it really wasn't perfect. And then people started min-maxing the game and they realized that factions didn't matter. And that's where Riot has the edge. You may know that League of Legends has a lot of different regions, where they all act independently and they all have unique relationships with their neighbors. Because of this, forcing faction alliance into this world would ruin the already established lore. So PvP factions are most likely not going to be a thing. However, despite that, League absolutely has faction pride. People love it when a new Shuriman champion
they look so fucking sick. Oh, they look so fucking sick.
is announced because people love that place. And people love it when the new champion is not Ionian, because goddamn we have too many Ionians.
There are a lot of
Nearly
them, yeah.
every League of Legends player has a favorite region.
Is this Demacia stuff? It sure looks like it. Man, that looks pretty cool. Some like Golden King shit, dude. That reminds me of like, what's that Warhammer? What's his name? Sigmar? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And you bet when the MMO comes out, people will want to play for that region. And this is where the brilliance of Riot's world kicks in. You see, the fundamental lore of League of Legends is based around the idea that anyone can be from any region. After an event, the story refers that anyone can be from any region. After an event, the story refers to as the westward migration. Races mixed up all around the world. So it's not like there is a furry region where you can only see furries.
Damn! Missed opportunity! I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But whoever that character is, yeah, that's Ari? Okay, there you go.
There are definitely regions where you can see more furries, but this world doesn't have exclusives. This means that when you're picking up what you want
is that Pantheon? Who is that? Dude, his cloak is sick. Dude, their cloaks are fucking sick. Oh my god, those are badass. They have fucking constellations on them. That's like some Titan shit. I fuck with that. He looks fucking rad, man.
to play.
That's Atreus, Pantheon.
Besides just picking a race and a class combination, I strongly suggest Riot also allows people to pick their origin, with the origin being the starting region.
I see.
Without a system like this, you would force all human champions to be, for example, Noxian. And that is simply not how this world works. So, I've been mumbling about how this world works for quite a while. So now, let's actually dive into all the races
Pantheon is his persona? I see. Okay.
that exist in this universe. Spoiler alert, League doesn't have too many different races, because it's focusing on depth over variety. Of course, as it is with any RPG, there is the human race. But it would be cool if the humans varied depending on their origins. For example, if you pick a human from the Freljord, they would be an Iceborn and they would have extra frost resistance. A Demacian could have a bit more magic resistance, Ionians could have a bit more nature resistance, Shuriman's heat resistance, and so on.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be crucial for Riot to preserve the feeling of every origin feeling at least slightly different. This is an RPG after all, and despite the fact that balancing is usually a big issue,
bro. Holy shit. Is this part of that city in the middle, the two-layered one that I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm that interested in it? Holy fucking shit.
I strongly believe these RPG elements have to be preserved. But if Riot is afraid of people min-maxing the game from the very beginning, focusing on the origin stat with the most value, Riot can always do the safe thing and only give each origin different customization. In the Freljord, people tend to be more pale with lush beards and Nordic tattoos all over their bodies. Shurimans have the classic dreadlock style. People from Bilgewater have the pirate crew tattoos. Piltovans are your fancy mustache people, and Ionians have the wild untamed hair and beards. So even without special origin stats, I do believe these unique characters—
Dude, those shoulder pads are sick! They have like smiths and masons on them, dude, like engineers on them. What the fuck? Those are badass!
Customizations would enhance the region pride too. So that's what humans would be about. Pretty versatile and nothing too special in an RPG world.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Now let's
have a
look at the more unique races. After humans, the second most spread out race are the Vastaya. As we mentioned in the last video, the Vastaya are a race that came to be after humans started mating with magical animals. But the thing is, depending on where—
Thanks, Elune. That's what that reminds me of. Necrit's the biggest treasure of my country. Check. Hell yeah.
Where they are from. There are loads of different kinds of Vastaya. From cat boys to fox girls to lizard girls. In fact, here's a family tree of all the Vastayan tribes and even—
Holy shit, that looks a little complicated. What the fuck? Land tribes, sky tribes. So these are like flying ones then, presumably. And these are ones that don't have wings for the most part. Oh, and there's tribes of the sea as well. Okay. Shapeshifters, that's interesting. Humans are Vastaya? Oh no, I see. It starts at the root with like humans and Vastaya Shire, and then that makes Vastaya, and then that's grown out of from there. Vastaya equals furry, gotcha. If it gives us Ari and Set, I'd say 1000% worth.
even this doesn't cover all of them. And this is where Riot can pull off something genius. As I said, this world already has set rules. So it would be very difficult to introduce a brand new race into this universe. However, it is going to be very easy to just make up a new Vastayan tribe. So I propose that Riot doesn't make the Vastaya as a playable race overall, but instead it would be cool if Riot let the specific tribes to be playable races. This would leave the door open for them to introduce new playable races later down the line. If they cross off all the Vastaya at once, they kinda shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
But I know, here I go mumbling about how the world works again. So let's have a look at some of the specific tribes. When I say Vastaya, most people think of Ari. She comes from the Vasani that look like foxes. Although her tribe is mostly gone, the lore can justify new members to be found, so they can be playable. The Kilash tribe comes from the jungles between Shurima and Ishtal. These lion-like—
That's Ishtal, right? This like magnificent like isolationist city. That's why they're like surrounded by jungle and like that's pretty sick. Their shit looks fucking pretty cool.
People are known for hunting dangerous beasts, and they take great pride in trophy collecting.
Is that like the main reason why they might like leave the city, is to go out and like go on the hunt and like prove their like, do they have like a rite of passage where you have to hunt like a crazy animal or something like that? Like some big ass fucking beast? Kind of something like that? That'd be cool.
It's the average mount collector. The Shimon tribe are monkey-like people from Ionia. While their older members are very wise, their younger members can be very goofy.
Some Wukong shit, dude. I fuck with that. What's up, Lorian?
The Otrani come from Mount Targon, resembling the classic goat people.
Right, that's one of the that's the girl that was like climbing the mountain, I'm pretty sure, right? That I saw in that cinematic. He's called Wukong. That's Wukong. Uh-oh. That champion's literally called Wukong. I didn't know. I guess now the more you know.
These are taking care of the Stellarcorns. The Lowfland tribe are Ionians who resemble bird people. This tribe likes to combine the art of dancing with lethal assassinations. The Uvikat are something close to lizards, though they do have the ability to shapeshift. Out of all of the other tribes, these are the closest to their pure blood ancestors.
They're like fairies. Whoa, is that Queen Ashara? Yo. You guys didn't tell me this game had a Queen Ashara in it. What are we doing? What are we doing here, dude? Look at this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
And we also technically have the Marai, the fish people whom I doubt are going to be playable. Imagine modeling boots for them. Now, these were the more pure blood tribes, but there are many more Vastaya who don't fit any of these. For example, Set has an Ionian Vastayan mother and a Noxian human father.
Interesting. Which is why he looks mostly human, with a touch of cat in there. This is buff Grahatia, dude. This is like if Grahatia fought with his fists.
So he doesn't really have a tribe. Long story short, the Vastaya are an incredibly versatile race, and Riot can use them in a million different ways.
Yeah, it sounds like they're quite versatile. That's very cool. That it's more like an overarching, like a branch of beings rather than just like one being. He's furry Jojo. He's 25% Vastaya, so he gets racism from both sides, Lamau. Ooh, tough. Yeah, that's a tough place to be.
This is where they can really go wild. But that's it for the Vastaya. So now, let's have a look at the third most popular race. The Yordles.
Yordles.
These are the classic RPG tiny people. In League of Legends, people either adore them or hate them. There is no in between.
So this is like your gnome, your Volpera. Really? You either love it or you fucking hate it. That's great.
Kinda like those guys. But not those guys, everyone hates them. There is no doubt in my mind that Yordles will be playable. Them. Even though they have an interesting catch.
They're cute, dude. I love their like outfits and their big beards and shit. They have like big hair for how small they are. I think they're so cute, dude.
You see, unlike all the other races on Runeterra, Yordles are immortal.
Oh.
They are essentially modes of magic that come from a hidden magical realm known as Bandle City.
Oh. So what happens if you eat one? Will it turn you immortal, do you think? or is that like taboo? Maybe not. They come from the dream. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. Some other fucking realm like bridge to ours or some shit. Well, you know what I mean. Runeterra kind of thing. Like opening a portal to the void, but instead to like the Feywild.
And because they are made of magical essence, when they die, we don't really know what happens. But we assume they return to the Bandle City and there they respawn. With that said, the lore suggests that maybe Yordles can die, but they just can't die of old age. But let's ignore that, that's a massive rabbit hole.
So they might be like naturally immortal, but they can still die to violence essentially. But like they're not gonna get old and die. It's kind of like night elves, where like you can kill a night elf, but for a time there they were naturally like immortal, resistant to disease and aging and all of that stuff.
When it comes to gameplay, at least corpse running is going to make sense for them. Now, because Yordles are immortal, in most cases they are always happy and cheerful. Even their home realm is very colorful because of that.
Yeah, I love all the color.
But then there is also Vex, a Yordle champion who has recently been added into League of Legends, who gives Yordles an interesting perspective. You see, unlike all the other Yordles...
Oh, this is like that sad Loporrit from Final Fantasy XIV. I forgot about that for a while. The one that's fucking depressed. And it's like the opposite vibe of all the other Loporrits. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong? What is with that one? Like, what the fuck? It's a depresso. Yeah, it's just like that.
Yordles, Vex hates living. She hates the bright colors and the cheerfulness. You know, it's the average League player. So Vex is constantly in deep depression and agony. All she wishes for is to leave this world.
Vex reached into her bottomless well of despair, hoping to drive the stake of misery deeper into his heart. I know it's a downer, but the whole point of life is death. Death? Whimpered Uncle Milty. Yeah. And the worst part of it all? Yordles don't even get to do that. We just go on forever. Doomed to a stupid, magical, pointless existence. Yeesh.
But she can't, because Yordles can't die. Anyway, just like all the other races, Yordles can be found all around Runeterra. There is Poppy in Demacia, Kled in Noxus, Kennen in Ionia, Rumble in Shurima, and so on. But now, so far we have only covered the races which I'm pretty sure will launch with the MMO.
I really like that concept where there's like notable figures in many different cultures, like what he was talking about earlier as well, where like in World of Warcraft, for instance, like all of the significant gnomes exist kind of within gnomish culture and kind of just there. Like, they kind of go into the alliance too, but it feels much more restrictive. Like, it feels like most of the significant individuals for each race are live at or around the racial homeland, right? So I like the idea of like what he's saying, that just the seeing someone that is of a certain race in this case in a totally different culture. And I feel like there's a lot of room for like creativity for how you could show the base culture or the ancestry kind of affecting how they interpret where they live now, or vice versa. I just think that can make for some really colorful, like interesting, like interpretations to philosophies and like histories of certain areas, and like I think that's really cool. That sounds awesome.
The humans, the Vastaya, and the Yordles are the core of this world. So now we are diving into the races that still exist in this universe.
Azeroth is just too racist, dude. I mean, not necessarily wrong. There- yeah, there's still quite a lot of racism in World of Warcraft, especially between like certain humans and certain orcs. Like it's still a big thing. Elves too,
But it's
and
going to
trolls.
be up to Riot if they make them playable. First of all, there are the Minotaurs.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Minotaurs
dude.
are different from the Vastaya because they don't have magical ancestors. They are just a standalone race.
Interesting. So they don't hail from magical ancestors. Instead, they are literally like cow men. I would like to learn more about that. That's interesting.
Originally, the Minotaurs controlled the mountains south of Noxus.
Okay.
But because Noxus is
They
Noxus,
got conquered.
soon they absorbed the Minotaurs into their empire. With
Right.
that said, some Minotaurs fled the tyranny of Noxus and they joined the other regions. A great example is Kryl, the Minotaur fighting in the elite armies of Demacia.
That's not Cryle. That can't be right. That thing's way too tall and way too cowy to be Cryle. FFXIV knowers know. that's not Cryle. That's fake news.
And yes, the Minotaurs also have the stereotypical sexy female version in this universe, so they can easily
Looks better than a World of Warcraft fucking female Tauren. Just saying. They look horrific. Yeah.
be turned into a playable race. Next, in Bilgewater, there is an incredible amount of weird fishy people. A lot of these could be really
crocodile.
cool playable races when Bilgewater gets its expansion. Although modeling helmets for a hammerhead shark is going to be interesting. We also can't forget about the trolls.
Yeah, ice
Previously,
trolls.
I showed you the ice trolls, but there are also the sand trolls. And here's an interesting fact for League veterans. We have never seen a sand troll, but because
Oh, they're
of
like
as well-
Faraki trolls, dude. Cool. That big troll, what's that guy's name? That's not Tryndamere, is it? That's someone else. Or I don't, what's that big troll's name? Trundle. I was fucking close. I'll take that. I was kind of close. It TR. And there's an N in there and a D. Okay. I'll take that.
adventures, we know they exist. They should be around Icathia, which is where Jax is from, who also has 3 fingers, by the way. So it is extremely likely that the mysterious Jax is a sand troll.
Oh, and the 3-finger motif. Yeah. This frost troll Trundle has 3 fingers too. Yeah, I mean, he definitely is some kind of troll, but he looks more blue. I wonder if the sand trolls would be like in World of Warcraft, they're like tan. But that's cool. I fuck with that.
Also has 3 fingers, by the way.
Yeah.
So it is extremely likely that the mysterious Jax is a sand troll. Regardless, the majority of trolls are united under Trundle, the self-proclaimed Troll King,
There you go.
who is fighting in the service of Lysandra, who is a baddie even though she is morally right. So since the majority of the trolls are our enemies, I doubt they will be a playable race. Lastly, let's not forget that this universe also has Yetis. Fun fact, before everything got frozen, the Yeti civilization was very advanced. They even had their own technology based around magic. In
Nice.
fact,
Yeah, the
Will-
Frost Giants get fucked over in everything. In World of Warcraft, they got fucked over too, thanks to Loken. So that was pretty shitty. The Frost Giants and Yetis and shit always get fucked over.
Lump the Yeti Nunu is riding on is a hologram from the Yeti technology. But then, as the civilization disappeared, the
cool.
Yetis went a bit more ferocious. So no, they won't be playable either.
I wonder why they kind of changed to be like more ferocious. I wonder if anything about the use of their technology like affected them in some kind of way. I don't know.
But that's pretty much it for the races. As I mentioned, there aren't too many different kinds. But that's because Riot is avoiding mimicking other RPGs. That's why there are no dwarves or elves here.
Or orcs.
Runeterra is simply trying to be unique in every way, and so far,
they've probably been crazy because the
working.
void. Yeah, that's probably
Now,
true.
I also have seen some people asking if Darkin will be playable.
Bro, these guys are fucking sick, dude. Holy shit, man. My favorite stuff that I've looked at so far has got to be the Darkin and stuff like Aatrox. It is fucking crazy, dude. It is fucking crazy. It gives like the blood magic shit is badass, dude, and it gives this like Destiny 2 like witch queen kind of vibes, man. Like, oh, dude, it's pretty badass. I fuck with it.
To which I have to say, that's like asking if you can play as a god.
Yeah.
The Darkin are a corrupted version of the Ascended God Warriors.
Right.
A single Darkin can annihilate an army of 1,000. In fact, the Darkin known as Aatrox is the only being in existence that managed to kill a celestial god. He stabbed someone wielding the power of the Aspect of War so hard, the Aspect of War died. So no, I don't think Darkin will be playable. Anyway, with all the races covered, assuming Riot is going to use the Origin system, this is what the playable races could look like. Humans are versatile, they are everywhere, there is not much to mention there. When it comes to the Vastaya, the common tribes can easily appear in Noxus, Piltover and Bilgewater. These are the regions open to everyone. On the other side, the Vastaya are closely linked to spiritual magic, so you will hardly find one in Demacia, since it is a firmly anti-magic region.
Right.
And somehow, not many Vastaya were ever mentioned in the Freljord, so Riot doesn't have to force them there. But then we have Shurima, Ionia and Targon. Assuming these would be saved for expansions, they could be used to introduce new playable races. Since I doubt all the newcomers remember the names, the Kilash, Lothlan and Otrani are the Lion People, Bird People and Goat People. When it comes to the Yordles, as I mentioned, they can originate from anywhere, but they do avoid the Freljord and Targon because of the harsh climates. And yes, I know there were some prehistoric Yordles in the Freljord, but after it got covered in ice, they disappeared.
Interesting. So that northern area, right? Was that all frozen to shit by Lysandra? Is she the one that basically turned it into a glacier to hold back the void or whatever? It was frozen by her when she let the Watchers in. Gotcha. But it used to be like a lush northern land then. I like stuff like that. Kurthus is just like that in Final Fantasy as well. They undergo essentially massive etheric disruption thanks to a calamity. Was it the fucking sixth umbral calamity or seventh umbral calamity, whichever the most recent one that actually happened was, and it turned their fucking land into ice. Very interesting.
And lastly, the Minotaurs can be found in Demacia and Noxus. But it does make sense for some of them to flee to the Freljord, and others to travel to Ionia during the invasion. With all of this said,
hold on. It was like Grizzly Hills before? Well, that kind of makes sense too, because you have Volibear and Ornn there as well, and if you were to mirror that in World of Warcraft, like, it's literally like, it's two mythical god bear animal creatures that were like revered by ancient animal people that were like, and they ended up being killed. Like, it's pretty interesting. Their like homeland to the north ends up being completely irrevocably changed. It's very interesting.
And others to travel to Ionia during the invasion. With all of this said, remember, this is just my decently educated opinion. Since the races are pretty much mixed up all over Runeterra, Riot could also lift the limitations and let every race start in every region.
Yeah,
and
Ursak
I would
and
be
Ursol.
fine with that. Some story would be wonky, but it wouldn't be anything horrible. Although, I still believe some racial exclusivity helps the feeling of RPGs.
I agree.
So, all of this is still only the first half of the video. If you wanna take a break and do your business without washing your hands, now's your chance.
I mean, I'm considering it.
This program will continue in 5 seconds.
No good, chat? Everyone good?
Did you wash your hands? Okay, so far we only covered the races, which was definitely still the easy part. The much more difficult part are going to be the classes. This is where Riot is facing a great challenge. Partially, it's because there are inherently no wrong answers when it comes to designing a class system. You can really make anything work if you put some thought into it. But more than that, Riot is challenged by the setting itself. League of Legends currently has over 160 different champions. They each have unique abilities, and together they can define about 40 different classes.
Holy
I
fucking
counted
shit. Oh my god. That's a lot of classes, dude. Oh my
them
god.
myself. From these, Riot has to pick only a handful to be playable, which means the majority of the classes won't make it in, and people who love those classes will be disappointed. Thankfully, I'm not a designer, so instead of trying to figure out how to make this work, I'm going to show you all the cool, unique classes this universe has. And again, because region pride is a big part of this universe, you'll see that some of these are tied to specific regions. But not the warrior. That one is different in every single region. So let's start with that. The warriors in this universe provide a unique challenge on top of the already difficult decisions. It's because in every region, the fantasy of a warrior is represented by something else. In Demacia, it is the Dauntless Vanguard. These are the classic knights in shiny armor pursuing justice. In Noxus, the traditional warrior would be part of the Trifarian Legion, which is a rank you can achieve after killing your best sparring friend in combat. These guys rarely use shields. In Shurima, the classic warrior is the warrior of the Golden Army. These are fighting for the glory of the Shuriman Emperor. In Piltover, you would have the Enforcers. Simply said,
The
it's
police.
the cops.
Yeah.
People will know these from Arcane. But in a way, the Wardens are the melee warriors of Piltover. But then, in the Freljord, warriors are represented by the Berserks, either wielding axes or giant blades as they worship the primal god known as the Iron Boar. On Targon, we have the Warriors of Rakor, which are somewhat themed after the classic Spartan armies. Then, in Ionia, the classic warrior is known as a Blade Master, with samurai-styled swords that have a rich history in this region. Also, there are the Vuju Blade Masters, which are on a totally different level. The Vuju technique is so powerful it was forbidden from using it in combat.
Damn,
the TLDR
they look
version of the
badass.
story is that when Noxus invaded Ionia, Master Yi obliterated entire Noxian legions on his own, before Noxians realized how overpowered he was and they nuked the town where the Vuju Blade Masters were trained.
Oh fuck.
So now there is no more Vuju Blade Masters, just normal Blade Masters. And lastly, the common warrior in Bilgewater would be a brawler. You see, I just named 8 different kinds of warriors.
Yeah.
How is Riot going to handle this? I don't know. They could just make one warrior class and then just have the players play out the fantasy while wearing cool armor sets. Or they could make it so that every origin has a different skin of the class.
I think that's
You know,
a really good
all
idea.
the abilities would be the same, they would be doing the same numbers, but when a Noxian swings a weapon, there is a bloody trail, and when an Iceborne Berserk swings a weapon, there is a frosty effect.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So then basically you can still have the like fantasy identity of the race behind it, but still basically have the same exact performance. It's like class skins for like World of Warcraft. It's like it'd be like a Moonlight Paladin or something that serves Elune but is a paladin. Same kind of concept, or like a Void Paladin or something along those lines. It's like visual hero talents, which I think is really cool. Like just having it default because you picked a certain combo, coming across other warriors that have different like appearances and animations and stuff, but effectively the same exact abilities would be very interesting. And then you mix in like a racial ability there too if you want to, and I mean you're cooking with gas, I feel like.
But again, this is for Riot to figure out. Now I'm just going to show you all the unique and interesting classes from this universe. In Demacia we have the Mage Seekers. These are the people who hunt down mages. They carry with them a stone disc called the Grey Mark. This is the tool that allows them to absorb magic. So this would be sort of an anti-magic class.
But then what the fuck do they do with it? They're sketch as fuck to me, man. They imbue giant constructs instead? I don't get it. They're hella sketch to me, dude.
There are also a lot of iconic Demacian scouts. Also, Demacia has a lot of stories about theaters and bards.
Oh, that's like Kindred.
But Demacia also brought spotlight onto the Sentinels. The Sentinels of Light are people dedicated to fighting the undead. Because the undead can't really be killed with normal weapons. They use the relic stones that can be forged into any weapon. Be it a crossbow, a gun, a really big gun, or even a sword. Fun fact, in the lore, the Sentinel guns don't have triggers. You have to will it to fire with every fiber of your body.
Yeah, that's cool.
So of course, Lucian canonically fired it with his PP. Lastly, this will be unknown to even veteran League players. But Demacia put a really cool twist onto the Paladin class. You see, in League of Legends, when you play as Garen, his ultimate is to smite his enemies with a giant holy blade.
Blade of Justice.
This made people wonder, is Garen a mage? In Demacia? Actually, no. In the lore, Garen has never done anything even similar to this. And that's because there is something even cooler happening. Most people in Demacia pray to the aspect of justice, which they call the Winged Protector. That's why Demacia has a lot of angelic statues.
So it's not magic, it's more of a, well, it's kind of magic, but it's what? More faith-based then? It's more like calling a divine blessing than harnessing the power of the arcane?
Coincidentally, the aspect of justice can also be found in League, its scale. So what's happening is that when Garen is casting his ultimate, it is not him magically creating a holy blade in the sky. It is actually the aspect of justice answering his call.
Yeah.
So even
It's a
though
prayer.
this universe doesn't really have a paladin class, which would
That's
be casting
paladin.
holy
That's
spells,
effectively paladin.
this would be a really cool alternative. People who worship the aspect of justice and let her answer their calls. Pretty cool, but now let's move on to Noxus. Noxians are one of the only regions who harvest black powder. So
Get
they
some gunslingers, dude. Some cannoneers, man.
also have their own mercenaries with functional...
I don't know who that character is, but holy shit, dude. Oh my god. Oh my god. Samira? Bro.
guns. In Noxus you can also find a lot of demonic cultists, so I would expect a warlock or a demon summoner, and they also have a few renowned assassin guilds. And the most unique of them all, Noxus also has a circle of hemomancers, people who follow Vladimir, a lord who used to be a hostage to the Darkin, and who eventually learned how to use their blood magic. So these
It's fucking Daddy D, dude. It's Daddy Denathrius, dude.
people use the very same blood magic that shaped the Darkin. Then in Shurima, we may find arcane mages. These people follow Zerath, the most powerful mage on Runeterra, whose body has been reduced to nothing but arcane energy.
Yeah.
I would honestly...
Typical, dude. Ethereal type shit. Fuck a body, bro. I'll just be energy. That's like what the Titans are in World of Warcraft. At least the ones on the seat of the Pantheon that we see. They look like they're made of like pure energy. Straight up arcane energy. It's very interesting.
Whose body has been reduced to nothing but arcane energy. I would honestly love to see this class in-game, because I love the idea of
Zerath, you mean Zalatath? You mean... I'm just kidding.
having an Archon form on cooldown. Shurima also has some prophets who can open up tiny portals into the void and summon tiny void creatures.
That's an ethereal right there, dude. That's like your Locust Walker right there. That's sick. Shadow Guard ethereals.
It would be sort of like Warlock in WoW. You know, use the power of the enemy against themselves.
Yeah, kind of in that concept, but this would be probably more like a Shadow Priest or something along those lines. Very much more voidy.
Then there are the Sand Shifters, people who can use the sand to create sand mirror images. And we can't forget about the Chronomancers, people who use time
It's fucking Amun Thul right there, dude. What the fuck?
images. And we can't forget about the
I want to hear this.
the enemy against themselves. Then there are the Sand Shifters, people who can use the sand to create sand mirror images.
Sand Shifter sounds cool. That gives me like Bronze Dragonflight vibes. I fuck with that. That's sick.
And we can't forget about the Chronomancers,
Yeah.
people who use time magic in a lot of creative, interesting ways. Then in Piltover, riding off of the success of Arcane, people will want to play as a Warden, which is a more elite version of the Enforcers. These would be equipped with sniper rifles and stun grenades. On the crafty side, there are also the Hextech Engineers. These are the people who can use science to allow them to wield magic even if they are not mages.
Yeah, it's Magitech. They're fucking Garleans or fucking Alligans. Better yet. They're fucking Alligans. Yeah, this guy looks fucking badass. I don't know who that is, but that is a sick character design. It's fucking Alligans, bro. Yeah, straight up Magitech.
Science
Powered by Ceruleum. I wonder what that is. Oh, that's Victor? That's old Victor?
allow them to wield magic.
The Machine Herald? Sick. Don't spoil arcane stuff for him, please. Yeah, that would be good. Let's not do that.
Even if they are not mages. And separate from them, there are also the artificers. To them, anything from a powerful arm to blade legs should be possible.
Yeah, the
And
blade leg
down
shit
in
is so
Zone,
creepy.
I would love to see some kind of an alchemist who's using questionable drugs to help his allies.
Even like botanist, that looked like some connections with the flowers and shit.
Next we go into the Freljord.
That's one of the sisters, right? That one there with the
Drugs
bow?
to
Or am
help
I
his
or is that
allies.
wrong?
Next we
That's Ash. So okay.
go into the Freljord. Here we can find the Draklorn Inquisitors, which are Lyssandra's followers with abilities themed around true ice. Essentially, these would be
ice.
frost battle mages. But perhaps the most iconic for the Freljord would be the Shamans. These worship the animalistic primal gods of the Freljord.
Oh yeah, dude. Shamans are like fucking shamans and druids and WoW like combined. The whole like animals, nature, spirit shit. Oh yeah, bro. That's some like Arden Wield shit right there. That's Udyr. What does this guy serve, like Volibear or no connection? He has a connection to all four. Oh shit. Oh shit. That seems powerful as fuck, dude. He can do all of them? God damn. He reveres all spirits. Nice. So you got owls and fucking ravens and bears and fucking lion cat things. Nice.
And all their abilities mimic the primal gods.
That's sick. He had to train his mind in Ionia. He loses his mind. Right. Because, like, I would assume tapping into this, like, invokes the primal wrath of, like, of primal animal gods. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably similar to what happens to people who, like, channel, like Ursoc or Ashamain or something like that. They're taken by, like, this, like, primal ferocity. That's cool, dude. You have to have a lot of discipline. You have to be able to handle that, otherwise it'll turn you into a beast, essentially. It'll destroy you. Tiger, turtle, phoenix, bear. Okay, cool.
Be it a bear, a fox, a mammoth, or a boar. Then
He just said them all. You guys are giving fake news.
be it a bear, a fox, a mammoth, or a boar.
Bear, fox, mammoth, or boar. Nice.
Then on Targon, we would find a lot of people with
Oh, it's outdated what he says? Oh, because this is from a while ago. So they've changed some things. This is 2 years ago. So maybe this is fake news. That's not even half of them? Right. I mean, there's more animals than just those four. That would make sense.
Celestial powers. You know, calling down stars and such. But there are
It's so
also the
Elune coded type shit. I mean, look at this. Like, what the fuck? They have like crescent moons and shit all over their stuff. They have like eclipsing moons and headdresses and shit. It's like, yeah, it's very interesting. It's like literal pure spirit. Very interesting.
Celestial powers. You know, calling down stars and such. But there are also the Solari who use the power of the sun to enhance their attacks.
The Solari. You mean the Arathi. I mean, look at their motifs. Look at that. This is an Arathi lamplighter right here.
They also wear massive plated armor.
Oh god, they look cool. So cool.
So this would be the tank class. Or the Lunari, who use the power of
Yeah,
the
Leona
moon.
is, yeah, she's pretty cool, dude. She's badass. She's the one that is like the avatar of the sun, right? Or the ascendant of the sun or whatever. Gets empowered by it, or is it, or whatever, however the fuck that works. Sick, dude.
This would be the tank class. Or the Lunari, who use the power of the moon to stay in the shadows.
Fuck
This
yeah.
would be more of an assassin class. Besides these, there are also a lot of star callers around, and even draconic worshippers. Then in Ionia, besides the Vuju Blade Masters, which would be far too overpowered, some people choose to fight without a blade. These would be the monks of Hirana.
Hell yeah,
They
monks are
channel the
sick.
power of Ionian dragons to empower their limbs. And don't worry, they are a bit different from the traditional monks. They are far more badass.
Yeah,
Think
dude.
less Bruce Lee and more Dragon Ball. But of course, Ionia is also home to the Kinku ninjas. Their goal is
Yeah,
to
ninjas are
maintain
cool.
balance in Ionia. This means that when a spirit starts killing people, the ninjas go out and deal with the spirit. And when people start terrorizing the spirits, the ninjas go out and deal with the people. Most of these are your classic ninjas empowered
So
with
ninjas are like,
spiritual magic.
in a way, like enforcers of the balance between man and spirit and shit. That's kind of cool.
But some are using the forbidden shadow technique.
Oh.
And while they surely look evil, just like anything in League of Legends, it's not really one-sided. These ninjas are simply using questionable techniques to protect their homeland.
It's like Demon Hunters, bro. It's like straight up. It's literally like Demon Hunters from World of Warcraft. That's fucking badass.
And honestly, the Shadow Ninjas are so iconic for Ionia, I really do believe they will be playable.
Oh, that's
Then
like a Kindred mask looking thing there. That's
we
cool.
get to Bilgewater. Besides all the things that you could do with pirates and monster hunters, the most iconic class of this place are the priests of Buru. The
sea
Buru
priests?
worship the god of motion called Nagakeboros.
Oh,
While
Kraken. Nice. So they're like sea priests. That's fucking awesome.
they are priests, they fight with full physical strength, while borrowing power from the god to empower themselves. Usually this means the god spawns tentacles to smack the enemies around, but they also have healing powers, so that would be a really cool support class.
Huh.
In Riot's RPG called Ruined King, you can play as Ilaoi, the high priestess of Nagakeboros. And there you can see all the attacks she can pull off.
Bro, it's hell yeah. Yeah, what the fuck?
And this takes us to the last place, Ishtal, which will most likely be saved for an expansion. As I mentioned in the last video, Ishtal specializes in only one thing: elemental magic. So if elemental mages become a class, and they should, even in League, elemental dragons are a core mechanic.
Fuck is that, Deathwing? What the fuck?
They would come from Ishtal. But that's it for all the unique classes this universe
Nice.
has to offer. Funnily enough, when I was drafting all these classes, I realized a lot of them fall under specific categories. So going with the skin idea for all the classes wouldn't be too unreasonable. But developing so many artistic variations of the classes would be taxing. So overall, I believe Riot should not care about disappointing some players for not including their favorite class.
Gotta make it
With
make
so
sense.
many options, it's going to happen anyway. Instead,
Yeah.
pick a couple of classes that simply make sense for you.
Yep.
You know, a Blade Master here, an Arcane Mage there, and just have fun. Having fun.
Dude, imagine. Oh my god, she's so fucking hot. I forget this character's name, but Jesus Christ. Imagine if fucking Kaisa, thanks. If Runeterra had Blade Masters before World of Warcraft, bro. Oh my god. We had Blade Masters in Warcraft 3, but not in World of Warcraft. Unbelievable. Kaisa, also known as Goon Chaser. Yeah, she fights fucking Watchers and shit, right? Or like void monsters and shit. She's pretty badass. She like flies around and shit.
During development,
Kaisa, aka wife.
it usually translates
She's
into
she's basically Kerrigan.
experiences. And I hope I'm not pressuring anyone by stirring up hype. If anything, I'm just happy that people find these videos interesting. And all I'm doing is presenting information that Riot released over the past 10 years.
If I remember right, she's the daughter of Kassadin, another guy dabbling with the void.
I mean, I know the video is interesting because Asmon only paused 3 times and he said,
"That's fucking cool."
and,
I like it a lot.
and,
What the fuck? This is actually really cool. I didn't know any of this.
that to me marks a big success.
Good video. Here's a link to it. You guys want to show some love? I like that. That was nice.